Chapter 10, Legal Descriptions. To begin with, a legal description is going to be required in every real estate transaction. It's the way that we legally and acceptably identify a piece of property. Remember this, that a legal description and only a legal description can be used in a court of law. A physical description cannot be. So let's talk about the three types of legal descriptions that we have. I'll go ahead and give them to you now. It's going to be the metes and bounds, the government survey, and the lot and block. Those are our three types of legal descriptions. So let's first of all start with the metes and bounds. First, the metes and bounds is the most accurate legal description that we have, and it's the most complex. It is very complex, and it's the only one that has what we call a point of beginning. And if you can think about what the metes and bounds does, it uses a circle, a 360-degree circle, and then it breaks it down into 90 degrees each. And it allows the surveyor to go in and go in directions. Metes are measurements, bounds are directions. So that's what the metes and bounds is about. Point of beginning. It's the only one with a point of beginning. Another way of legally describing real property is the government survey. And all we're doing with the government survey is we're taking the state of Florida and we're breaking it down into a very large checkerboard. It's going to be made up of a meridian line and a baseline. The meridian line runs north and south through Tallahassee. The baseline runs east and west through Tallahassee. Now from the meridian line running north and south away from Tallahassee, there are going to be 6-mile bands that we call ranges. From the baseline that runs through Tallahassee, bands going north and south away from the baseline, we call those tiers or townships. And remember that when a range and a township or tier intersect, it creates a 6-mile square or 36 square miles. We call that a township. Every township has 36 sections in it. And from a testing standpoint, you're going to need to know how these various sections run. And if you'll look in your textbook to page 10-5, you'll see how the range lines run north and south away from Tallahassee in 6-mile bands, and the way that the townships run north and south away from Tallahassee on that east-west line that gives us this. And then if you look at the next page, on page 10-6, you'll see when the range intersects with the township, that's your 6-mile box. And it's 36 square miles. And then on page 10-8, if you'll look at that, notice how this whole township is laid out. Starting in the upper right, 1 through 6, down 7 through 12, it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth till you hit 36. Now from a testing standpoint, I can tell you on my exam and a state exam, they're going to ask you what section might be north, south, east, or west of a particular section. So you're going to need to be familiar with how this lays out. Also, one of the other things that you're going to have to be familiar with on page 10-9, how do you break down a subsection? If you know that a section is 640 acres, then how do you take a small portion of that section? For instance, the northwest quarter of a section. How do you describe it? Or what about the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter? How many acres are in it? From a testing standpoint, I can tell you right now, you're going to have test questions on that, and it'll look something like this in your textbook. The northwest 1/4, the northwest 1/4, the southeast 1/4, how many acres are in it? You're just simply going to have to melt it down to first find out how much you have. It's an easy process. I want you to be careful of the word "and," because the word "and" implies that you're dealing with more than one legal description. The last legal description that we're going to be dealing with is the lot and block. I also call this the plat method. And all you're doing is you're creating a subdivision, basically. And that's all recorded on public record. And that's all I really have for Chapter 10's section today. I'm going to go ahead and review what I just went over. This is a real simple chapter from a testing standpoint. Don't let this one beat you up. It's too easy. So let me go ahead and review with you. Chapter 10, Legal Description Review. Metes and bounds is the most accurate, and it has a point of beginning. In fact, it's the only one with a point of beginning. The government survey method divides the state of Florida into a checkerboard. Lot and block is a way to describe subdivisions. The meridian line runs north and south through Tallahassee. The baseline runs east and west through Tallahassee. Ranges are 6-mile bands running north and south through Tallahassee, and a township is a tier band running east and west from Tallahassee. A township contains 36 square miles or 36 sections. There are 640 acres in a section. There are 43,560 square feet in an acre. And that's all I have for Chapter 10's review.